Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is so wonderful to have you here. Thank you for joining me today. For those of you who are new here, my name is Samantha. I am the knitter, knitwear designer, just general, I guess fiber artist is a word you can use, behind the account, the Strikkechick. It has been a long time since I last uploaded a YouTube video. And the reason for that is I wanted to take a bit of a summer vacation. My fiance and I, oh my gosh, that's news, I'm coming to that. We went to Japan and with a little stopover in India over the summer. And it was really hot and humid in Japan. If you don't know, Japanese summers, oh my gosh, are they warm. It was like in the 30s Celsius, I think like close to 100 degrees for my fellow American friends. It wasn't so much that we were sweating, it was like the country was sweating on us, is what it felt like. And while we were doing that, I could not think of knitting. And I kind of just wanted to take a breath and step back and just kind of be there, be present. On our second day into the trip, he proposed. Yeah, so that's new life news for those of you who are returning viewers and have kind of seen a little bit of Kevin and my dynamic. We lived together in the Arctic Circle in a little village called Tromsø, which is where I am doing my PhD, and Kevin is currently working. So we are very excited for this next chapter in life. I will keep it knitting related, I swear. For the wedding, I had been thinking about knitting my wedding dress, and I know there are a lot of lovely people out there who did that. Kutavalkika springs to mind. And I realized it was a little bit too optimistic maybe of me, but I will definitely be knitting him like a little pocket square, like a lace knit pocket square with our initials or something in there, which is the plan. Because honestly, you guys, wedding planning is stressful. It is stressful enough, and I don't think I really foresaw that when I was like, oh, I'll knit my own wedding dress. Yeah, no, not happening. But yeah, lots of really exciting things to look forward to. And I got back to Tromsø. I got back into knitting because obviously, we had a couple good days of summer when we came back here from Japan. But as you can imagine, in the Arctic Circle, it is kind of chilly even in the summertime. I don't think it ever gets to 30 degrees Celsius or, in the 90s. So we came back and everyone was like, oh, it's a beautiful summer. And it was, high 70s, low 80s-ish on a really good day, kind of sunny. The same Arctic wind chill you always get, but you can't really complain about that when it's that kind of weather up here. But we got like a week or two of that, and then it very quickly devolved, it's a good thing, into knitting weather. So I have been knitting a lot, and I have a lot to show you guys because it has been so long since we last did one of these. But go easy on me, I'm a little rusty. I haven't recorded in a long time. So he'll be a bit rambly. I'm sorry, you can skip those parts if you're not interested. But yeah, I'm just so excited to be back with you guys and be sharing with you. And I really do hope to make it more of a frequent thing to do. But I've started posting on Instagram again. If you don't know, I have a handle and an account there that I used to be very active on, and I took a bit of a break for the summer, but I am back, I am posting, and I am here, and I'm recording podcasts for you guys. And pretty much until Merketida, the polar night, which is when it becomes really hard to record podcasts on a regular basis because there's no light, so it just kind of all falls down plan-wise. Until then, I am here. So let's do this. Let's get caught up. So I wanted to start off with what I'm wearing. Like always, I realized that this isn't a great setup for you guys to see it, and I've got this fun little wired mic on me, so it's hard for me to like stand up and show you guys what I'm wearing. But I will put some pictures of it beside beside me somewhere on the screen. This is the Segla sweater. And if you have tuned into this podcast before, you'll remember that I called it the Mefjord sweater. I designed it because Kevin and I, we went on not a spring break, an Easter break trip to a place called Mefjord Brygge in a town called Senja, which is in northern Norway. It's got some beautiful mountains. We rented a little hotel room and we just wanted to have it was kind of like a staycation. It was a 3-hour drive from here, but that's just because northern Norway is so island-y. So we drove to Senja and we stayed at Mefjord Brygge and we drove around, and I filmed so much footage, guys, from that trip because I wanted to put it all together and make a little travel vlog of Senja. So if that's still something you're interested in seeing, maybe I'll put that together during Mørketida when I can't really record. So let me know if that's something you want to see. But I have that footage, and I wore this sweater because I designed and knit it to be worn on the trip. And it's basically, because I'll pop some images up here so you can see what it's like, it's basically just a top-down, seamless raglan sweater in stockinette stitch. And instead of ribbing, it's just got some cables along the hem of the sweater and the sleeve cuffs. So that's the distinguishing detail of the Segla sweater, previously known as the Mefjord sweater, but now it's the Segla sweater. So yes, there is currently a test knitting call out for it. I don't know if that will be closed by the time this podcast uploads. I sure hope not. I hope I'm more on top of my game. But if that is closed or open or regardless, I will put a link in the description below and you can go check it out if you're interested in making your own. It's knit in Cardiff Cashmere Classic. So this yarn was like my 2021 Christmas gift to myself. Very, very luxurious yarn. Really, it's really expensive. When I bought it in Stockholm, it was like $20 for a 25-gram little ball of it, which is about 125 meters. So it is a pricey yarn, which is why I've recommended yarn alternatives for the pattern. And I really hope that my testers choose alternatives that are across the board in terms of price. Because I do like to keep things affordable, even though I like to knit with a nice expensive yarn every now and again. So yeah, this is the Segla sweater, and there will be more information about that. I am hoping to have the pattern out before Christmas, so hopefully you can knit your own if you're not too kind of bogged down with Christmas gift knitting and the such. I know the drill. I have people I knit for around the holidays as well. It is a busy knitting time. Also, speaking of holidays, I want to show you guys my first finished object, which is this. So this is actually the last vlog I made, was my Hobbii yarn unboxing video, and in that video I unboxed this yarn because Hobbii Yarn contacted me and they asked if I was interested in designing a pattern for them, and I said yes. So I joined their Ginger and Holly campaign, which is their Christmas campaign for Christmas sweaters. And I wanted to design this very classic, cricket sweater type situation, but with a little bit of a festive twist. So my little festive twist here, I don't know if you can see, but I'll pop a couple pictures of the close-up, is it's got some gold thread woven in with the white. So this is knit in Hobbii Friends yarn. It's Friends Merino Extra Fine and Friends Kid Silk, held together, and it's all white. It's got a strand of Hobbii Glitter Deluxe, and for these little burgundy bits, it's just Friends Extra Fine Merino and Kid Silk held together without any gold accent thread. And the cool little thing that I did over here is because I have a folded collar and I'm really proud of this little detail, it's got the gold thread knitted in on the outside, but because the gold thread gets a little bit itchy, it's not there on the inside. So you can have the nice little gold collar look and not be itching your neck the entire time. This is my first V-neck design as well, which I think I got a little bit conservative with the V-neck, to be fair, because I was surely this is too low for a v-neck. Like, it's like, ooh, hello. So I kept knitting, and then finally I got to the end and I was like, well, crap, that is a very high v-neck. But I think because it's supposed to be like a cricket sweater, it's a good sized v-neck. I mean, those guys are not out there with like deep V's playing cricket. So it fits and it works, and I think it looks really nice. The photos that I have taken with it, I took with like these wonderful like suit pants kind of that I bought in Japan, which is another thing I was going to bring up to you guys. Like, while I was in Japan, oh my god, the fashion. Oh, be still my heart. Like, everyone dresses so immaculately. Oh my gosh. I mean, I think it was the change of scenery. It was just so inspiring. And like the way that the ladies in particular dress, I mean, it's like, it's very functional. It's like they're very feminine. The structures and the shapes of the clothes are just immaculate. It's like it plays up curves where curves should be. It does a really good job of I don't know, it's just, they dress so well. And so I mean, I did a lot of people watching, and I did a lot of shopping for myself, and kind of I will be incorporating some of my favorite design elements into knitting patterns in the future, because it was just, oh, it was so nice to see. I am one of those people, I live to dress nicely. Like, I was one of those kids, I don't know if you guys were, but like in high school, I had one of those like Excel sheets. Like, I made myself an Excel sheet to keep track of all my outfits and go like what goes well together, and like this and this for a boho look, and this for a glam, and like I was just way too into that. And I think even as an adult, like, you're not taking my outfit planning away from me. Oh, I love it. But I will be incorporating that into my knitwear for sure. So now I'm all about like matching my knits with things to like give them a certain vibe, and like the hairstyle and the jewelry, and like everything has to be like really well picked out. And now I've got a very fun piece of jewelry on my ring finger, so I get to like wash that in all the outfits I wear too. It's very exciting. But yeah, told you it would be rambly. But this is my first finished object, and I am calling it the Tinseltown sweater. Hobbii may change the name, but that is what I've given them on the pattern. And the way this is going to work, if you didn't see that last video, is I designed the pattern. I basically gave Hobbii full rights to the pattern, so they will sell it on their webpage, but of course I will promote it because it's my design and I like it. So I will be sharing a link on my website, and I will definitely make Instagram posts that link to the page. And so if you're interested, I don't know if it's going to be a free pattern from them, or like one of those, you pay some money, like one of those subscription things, and then you get access to their premium patterns. I don't know. Either way, it will be up on their website, and if you are interested, it should be out around Christmas time. So you can check it out and make your own. And I'm really proud of this. Like, it's just such a nice, simple cable sweater, but I really like the little details, like this little sleeve decrease and everything. I don't know. I just think that's really nice, and it fits really well, and I'm very excited to wear it when it gets just a little bit colder. Oh boy. Yeah, my setup is not optimized just yet, so there might be some like jumbling around, but I hope that's okay with you. Yeah, so moving on to my next finished object. Oh boy. This is the Urus Sweater from Aegyo Knit. I have been talking about this one because I have really been wanting to make a side-to-side cable sweater. This is knit in one piece. This is like the coolest construction. It's knit from one side to another in this, like in one continuous piece, and then you like seam up the sides at the end. And I knit this in Drops Air in the shade Heather, I want to say. I've had this in my stash for a long time. I had 7 skeins of it, and the size small. Okay, so full disclosure, this is not a very size inclusive pattern. I think there's 2 sizes, but this size, the size small, is very big. Like, usually I am a little bit too small for the size smalls, as people like petite knit write them. But they fit me okay. They're just a little bit oversized. But this was really big. And so what I had to do was I followed a modification that I saw on Ravelry. And you can go to my Ravelry project page and read all about this because I will link that in the description as well. But I modified this pattern so that the sleeves were longer, and then I had less length on the body. So it was supposed to be a bigger body than this. And this is already, like, I think this is 120 centimeters around. And for reference, I have a 73 centimeter bust, so it is pretty big on me. And I think if you didn't do a modification like I did, it would be even bigger. It would be like 130 or so centimeters for the size small. So this is meant to be a very, very oversized sweater. And so I made the mod, which means I use less yarn, obviously, because I didn't knit the body as wide. And then another mod that I did was I didn't really knit much ribbing because I like my sweaters kind of cropped. So instead of knitting the recommended, like I think it was like somewhere between 5 to 7 centimeters of ribbing, I knit like 1 centimeter in the front, not including the little, you do like a short row in the back. And I did that, but I only knit it to a centimeter. So you barely see the ribbing, but that's kind of what I wanted because I wanted it to be a little cropped. And it is. And I really like this. It's very wearable. It's nice that it's a bit oversized. It's a lot oversized. It's nice that it's oversized because that means it's comfy. It's easy to pull on when I'm having like, I don't know, like when I feel like, you know, bloated or whatever. It's easy to pull on and not worry about like, oh, it looks like, with this in contrast, this is like a very form-fitting sweater. And some days are just not days where you want to wear form-fitting sweaters. Some days you just want to like bury yourself in a sweater and drown in it. And that's a great little thing to pull out of my wardrobe for days like that. The only thing I would have done differently is I definitely knit these sleeves a bit too long. I think even the pattern, like if you look at the pattern pictures, the lady that's modeling the sweater, she has the cuffs go like all the way over her hand. And that's great. That's a great look. I usually knit my sleeves a bit too long because I like to be able to pull them over my hands. But these cuffs are not tight at all. So like if you want to push them back up, nothing is keeping them there. So it becomes really hard, obviously. I work in a lab. It's really hard to do lab work when your sleeves are constantly falling into like your Eppendorf tubes. So I roll my sleeves up and that's like a little fix. But yeah, if I could have done it differently, then I would have made the sleeves just a little bit shorter. But overall, I am very happy with this and I love the color. It's so fun. It's a great transitional color because it's like it's a very fall color actually, I think. It's kind of like a little bit of a lighter wine red and I associate that a lot with fall. So I'll be wearing that a lot in the coming months. And now, okay, so this is just a teeny tiny finished object. This is the, I want to say it's the classic rib hat by Pearl Soho. I had that like, if you've seen my video where I did the yarn store tour of Tromsø, you'll recognize this yarn. This is the Rowan Island Blend Fine. It's got some alpaca in there. I don't remember the exact content, but I will link it. And I bought one hank of it because it was on sale. And I think my favorite little detail about this hat is the top. I think that's really, really nice. I like the little spiral. And it's also just a very bright, fun color that I think was maybe a bit much for a sweater, she says, as the person who knit the Soul Dog sweater. But I didn't want another bright yellow sweater because I have Soul Dog and I love Soul Dog. So I knit this as a little hat because I thought it would be cute and it's just nice. And I like ribbed hats. I even designed one. The free pattern will be coming out soon. Shameless little plug, but it's my channel, so fair. But yeah, I really enjoy this, and let's see if I can try it on and not disrupt my mic. Hang on. This is not the way I want it to look. I don't have a mirror, so I can't tell what it looks like, but I can feel that it's not how I want it to look. There we go. That is my hat, and I think it looks really nice, even though I can't see it right now. Yes, it was fun to knit up. It was actually, I got a little bit lucky because the pattern called for more yarn than this, but I have a very small head. So I was able to get by knitting the hat a little bit shorter and a little bit narrower, like I knit a smaller size. So yeah, I really like this. I feel like I'll be getting a lot of wear out of it. It's a very nice, soft yarn as well. I don't know if it's discontinued and that's why it was discounted. I just know that it was at my local yarn store. So yeah, we'll be getting a lot of wear out of that. Starting now, because it's fall in Tromsø, you guys. It's the end of August as I film this, and it's fall. Ooh, so we're in for a long winter. Okay. More finished objects. Okay, returning viewers, I hope you guys remember this. This is Kevin's infamous scarf. So Kevin and I do these knit and chats. If you guys are still interested in those, let me know. And I can maybe try to rope him into a little knit and chat where we talk about whatever you guys want us to talk about. I feel like, what do we talk about now? We talk a lot about wedding plans. Yeah, we've done one about life in Norway. We did one about Christmas, actually, like Christmas in Scandinavia versus Christmas in the US. And it was such a cute video, and we had to scrap it because the lighting was awful and the audio was awful, and we just didn't feel good putting that out. But we did it like almost a year ago, around Christmas last year. If you guys are interested in a video like that, then let us know. But yeah, this is Kevin's scarf. And he knit, okay, let's see. Is this the side he knit? No, it's not. This is the side he knit. He knit up until here, this little thing right here. And then I was like, no, this scarf has been languishing and you are never gonna finish it. So, and I needed a break, honestly. I had finished knitting my sweater for Hobbii, and by the end of that sweater, like I was speed knitting because my deadline was coming up, and I was like, oh no, like we'd been away on vacation and I hadn't been knitting, and then I had to pick it back up and I just had to go real ham on it, and then I was like, right, no more sweaters. We are gonna hold off on sweaters and we are gonna knit something else. And so I picked up his scarf and I just started knitting, and I finished it. And I don't think he was too mad about it, honestly, because I think the cables were kind of annoying him a bit because he is a very new knitter, poor guy. So he had to like look at the chart for every single row. And I was like, oh, I know what to do because the cable went this way, and then we just have to, yeah, so it went by real fast. And now he has a new scarf. And I'm thinking, because we kind of put this pattern together ourselves, I might just make a free pattern out of it and call it something that he wants to call it, because it is his scarf after all. He picked out the little charts and did all the stuff. So yeah, there's a little scarf, and I'm not going to put it on now because it's going to make my mic go like real haywire, but I will have a little picture of it on. I think it's a nice little length. And we knit this with Drops Nepal. I forget the colorway, but I will let you know. It's his favorite orange. His favorite color is orange. I was watching the Hunger Games the other day, and Peta Malark, his favorite color is orange. It reminded me of Kevin. I was like, of course, your favorite color is orange. To be fair, mine is gold, which doesn't really have a hex code. I just like how it shines. So I can't really yell at him. We're a very fall couple, aren't we? Gold and orange. But yeah, it's my favorite season. Whatever. Yes, this is Kevin's scarf. Sorry, there's a lot of noise. I have all these like yarn things and everything just on the table, and I'm dumping everything on top of it. Okay, last finished object. That's the 5th one. I have 5 finished objects for you guys, which is kind of crazy because I didn't really knit during the summer, but then somehow like I started knitting and then it just kind of happened all at once. So yeah, this is the Semper Sweater V-neck by the Knit Pearl Girl, and this is actually one of the projects I pulled onto my needles the most recently, and it knit itself. I don't know if like, I think it's 4.5 millimeter needles for me, honestly. I think that is the needle size that I pick it up and I'm like, okay, yes, I can knit forever, and this feels great. And like with 7 millimeters, I'm struggling. With like 3 millimeters, I'm like, oh my God, just wake me up when it's over. 4.5, I'm in love. So this is knit on 4.5 millimeter needles. And it is knit in the most gorgeous yarn from Quince & Co. It's called Crane. It's this mix of, it's a silk and mohair yarn. It's a mix of, I think it's mohair from South Africa. No, mohair from Texas mohair from both Texas and South Africa. They have a whole thing on where it's sourced. I'll link the yarn down below. I won it, actually. As part of their holiday giveaway, they gave me a sweater's quantity of yarn. And then it was weird because like they were like, oh, we're going to give you and a friend yarn. And the friend I tagged was Kevin. So technically they gave Kevin yarn too, so he can use it if he ever feels like it, or I will make him something with it. Which it was just kind of funny. It was like, oh, you've won yarn, Kevin, and he wasn't really aware. But yeah, I'll probably use it for him and make him something. So I picked like a 100% merino yarn for him because that's a dude yarn, right? I don't think he would wear silk mohair in a sweater like this, but he likes merino. So I will make him something with his winnings yarn, spoils, something. The yarn that he won because I tagged him in something that he wasn't even aware of. Yeah, I'll make him a sweater. I can make him a sweater now. I discussed the sweater curse with you guys a little bit because like I made Kevin a sweater before we were engaged and people were like, oh, the sweater curse, oh no, like he's gonna take the sweater and leave. I mean, not really, not in all seriousness, but it is a thing, right? It's like a urban legend, the sweater curse. Is that the right word for it? It's a commonly held, it's like a superstition, that's the word. It's a superstition. But now, after December, I can make him sweaters and we will not be triggering the sweater curse. So maybe I'll wait and then I'll make him a sweater, like as a honeymoon present or wedding present or something. Sounds like a good idea. He watches this podcast, so let's just pretend I didn't say that. Okay, moving on to some works in progress. I don't have that many works in progress, so I promise you it goes by a little quicker from here. But hopefully I get some progress on those so I actually have something to talk to you guys about the next time we sit down and chat. So the first work in progress I have is all the way down here, and I hope I don't pull it off the needles. Okay, so this is just kind of sitting here for a minute because I don't really have the needles to keep going. So that's one of the things I have to do is get myself down to the yarn store, which I have been avoiding. I don't want to go to the yarn store because I love yarn. I haven't bought yarn in so long. I understand that there's a bit of a thing in the knitting community about like, putting yourself on a yarn diet or whatever is like, if yarn brings you joy, just buy yarn. Like, if you're so concerned about, like sustainability, you're making your own clothes, you're hand knitting your own clothes. Like, it's okay to buy yarn to hand knit your clothes. So I've been trying not to use terminology like yarn diet or, like actively restricting myself from buying yarn because, and the way I see it too is like, I sell patterns, I make podcasts, I do make some money from it, not anything to like quit my day job, but like I do make a little bit of money from it. So if I want to buy yarn with the money that I make from talking about yarn, I think it's okay. But I've been enjoying shopping my stash so much that, I don't know, I just haven't really felt the appeal of going into a local yarn store. I bought like a little bit of yarn. I bought some yarn earlier, and I will show you my new purchases from a couple small businesses in Norway that were doing sales and discounts and stuff. I think they were having a hard time of it economically because inflation has just been kind of awful. So I was like, you know what? I like yarn. I like their yarn. Let's support them. So I did that. But I haven't really felt the pull to like go into a yarn store recently. I'm sure I will soon, but I've been having a lot of fun shopping my stash. Like, I have so much yarn. I don't know if you guys have watched, like I did a stash tour. I've got so much. Some of it I've forgotten about, like it's just there and it's like, oh wow, this is beautiful. So yeah, I've just been really enjoying that. So it's not like I'm limiting myself. I'm enjoying my yarn that I have. But I will have to go into a yarn store and get needles. And that brings me to this sweater. This is the Pauline Genser from Garnius. It's someone designed it for Garnius. I don't remember her name. Mea culpa. I will look that up and I will credit her accordingly. But it has, I don't know if you can see it because it's like rolling up. Let me try to get that to you. It has this Fair Isle pattern, starts on the body, and it's going to have this on the sleeves as well, and then it is going to be like a very, very detailed Fair Isle motif with raglan decreases on the yoke, and then there are no short rows built into the pattern, but I will definitely be adding them on myself. And so that will be the Pauline sweater. I cropped it quite a bit. I tend to do this now, like I'm doing this with my next work in progress that I'll show you as well. I like to have my sweaters cropped because I like them to sit with high-waisted pants, and a lot of patterns that I pulled that were like patterns from last decade, which sounds like such a weird thing to say, but I think it is really, like patterns of the 2010s are all kind of long. And I remember when I loved wearing long sweaters too, like I mean, side parts and long sweaters and like skinny jeans and all that. Like I used to, that was me in high school, right? But now I like my high-waisted pants. I like my sweaters to like show off my waistline a little bit. So I crop them like this. So I used a little bit less yarn. And the upside to that is now I have more yarn. So I can make like a matching hat or something. I don't know if I want to. But yes, this is, it's waiting on needles for the sleeves because I only have these really long 3mm circulars. And obviously I need to knit the sleeves on the same size needles. So yeah, we're just waiting. We're waiting until I get off my butt and go to the yarn store and buy needles. I'm hoping for like the 20 centimeters, the little really, really tiny, the baby circulars, so that I can knit them. I hate double pointed needles. I don't know. I feel like I'm the kind of knitter that I would knit on DPNs, and I would just like have these huge ladders all the way up my work, because that's what kind of happens when I try to do magic loop, unless I like really yank at it and then like I mess up the stitch. And yeah, so I try to just use the same needle. So I'm hoping to get the small circulars and yeah, see if they have them. Okay, my next work in progress that I want to show you, and I'm not going to show you the sleeve because the sleeve just looks like this, but the sleeve is very, very attached to yarn, unlike this. This is the Popvegensinnen, which is another Norwegian pattern. I'm doing a lot of knitting on Norwegian patterns at the moment, just because, I don't know, that was always kind of something I wanted to do when I first started knitting, and it's been a while since I did that, so yeah, I've just been Google translating the words I don't know and just going off the patterns, and this is one of the ones I've wanted to knit for a long time. This is a pattern that's originally by Line Langmo, who is a Norwegian blogger, knitter. I think she's like a style influencer kind of, or she used to be at least. And she used to make a lot of knitting patterns, and she used to write them up on her blog for free. And now Dalgarn, which is a Norwegian yarn company, they make pattern, like no, they kind of sell, no, they have them for free, they don't sell them. They have her patterns, some of them, on their website because they used to have a yarn, this mohair yarn, that was named after her. And it was the yarn that she used to use in a lot of her patterns, and so obviously it makes sense that they have those patterns on their website with their yarns. So yeah, I'm using this really nice, I forget the shade names, but I'm using this really nice yellow yarn and this pink yarn, and there's a little gradient here. And there's these little cables down the front, and it's seed stitch in the back. And this collar is a double folded neckline. It's going to be sewn down when I'm ready. And it's got like, because it comes in, right, so you have to do set in sleeves. So I'm doing my sleeve, I'm knitting it from the bottom up, and then I'm going to like decrease it here, sew it in. So the modification, the big modification I'm making to this is she designed this pattern to be knit in pieces. You knit the front, you knit the back, you knit the sleeve flat, and then you seam everything together. I hate seaming. So I wanted to do this in a way that I didn't have to seam. So I knit the body in the round, and I'm knitting the sleeves in the round until I get to this point where I kind of, you know, have to split it and knit flat back and forth. So yeah, I mean, hopefully if I can get away from the seaming, I will be a very happy gal. And that's what took me so long to start this pattern, is like I knew I would need to mod it and do all the little edits to make sure I don't have to seam in the end. And like here, for example, right, she says to seam, and I did a 3 needle bind off. So it's just little things like that I was like, I just don't want to seam. I will do anything, but I will not seam. So yeah, that is the puppy incident. And the plan was to have it ready for the summer, or not the summer, the spring. This and the Pauline Genser I wanted ready by the spring, but then I took a knitting break, and that's fine. We all need our knitting breaks sometimes. But I have picked it up now, and I am knitting it, and it brings me joy. And that's why I'm knitting it, really. You kind of forget, right? I think that's a little bit what happened to me, is like, knitting is something that I love doing. I love designing, I love knitting, I love chatting. I talk a lot, don't I? But like, that's why it's so nice to make these videos, is like, I have so much fun listening to other people podcast, and I really, really like making my own to share what I'm doing with you guys. And I don't know, it started feeling like work, and it's not work. I have a job that feels like work. This should not also feel like work. So now I've kind of made a little deal with myself. I'm like, knitting brings me joy, and the things that I do that involve knitting must also bring me joy. And if they're not, then I'm doing something wrong, because it should be a joyful thing to do, and it should be a stress reliever, and it should be something that you feel like you're creating with your own 2 hands, and that's what it feels like now. So good job, me. I will keep going on this, and yeah. That got very deep, and now I don't know how to transition into my recent acquisitions. I guess yarn also brings me joy, so that's how I transition to that. Okay, so the first yarn that I bought is this. It's Pickles Thick Merino. So Pickles is a Norwegian yarn company, and they're one of the people that had sales because they just needed people to buy yarn, which fair. They're a small, they're a little yarn store in Norway. But yeah, so I bought this yarn because I think it looked really nice. It is 100% Peruvian merino. It's like this blown yarn, kind of. And it's in the colorway Toffee. It's this very, very pretty, I don't know if this is picking up properly, because now it's started to get kind of dark. It's this very, very pretty, like, it's like a cappuccino brown, is what I would call it. It comes in a 100-gram hank, and you get 200 meters in a 100-gram hank. And I'm thinking of holding this with a soft silk mohair, because I feel like it's going to be one of those very pilly yarns. Like, it just looks like it because it looks so soft. And I'm hoping that if I hold it with some mohair, it won't pill as much. And I have some, like, if you guys remember the Tuscan sweater, I had like a lot of drops kid silk in the shade Almond that I bought for that, and I think that would look really nice with this, and I have quite a bit of it left. So I think that is the plan, is to swatch those up together and see what I want to knit with that yarn combination. And the next yarn that I bought, it was ironic because I ended up going to Japan right after this, was Noro yarn. This is my first time working with Noro yarn. If you haven't heard of it, it's this Japanese yarn. This is Noro Silk Garden Solo. So it's the thicker version of the yarn that Petite Knit uses for her terrazzo sweater. It is in color 48, and it is 45% silk, 45% mohair, and 10% wool. 50 grams is 100 meters, and it's meant for like 4.5 to 5 millimeter needles. So it's just this very, very pretty, very nice, it's very soft yarn, and I'm thinking about just making the terrazzo sweater in just one strand of this. I might have to size down with the needles, because like some people pointed out that when they just knit with a single strand and they didn't use mohair or anything, then they got a bigger gauge. So I will have to gauge swatch and see. But yeah, I'm very excited about this yarn. I've been hearing about Noro yarn everywhere, and I'm very, very excited to try it out for myself. So yes, that is my Noro yarn, and that is everything I had for you guys today. It was quite a bit of stuff, because this is a couple months, they weren't very active months, but it was still a couple months worth of knitting. So I had a bit of stuff to show you, and I'm glad I did, and I'm glad to be back chatting with you guys again. I have missed it, but I got the motivation to do it, and I was like, you know what, when the feeling hits, you just start podcasting. And yeah, hopefully it's more of a regular thing. If you guys have anything in particular that you want me to talk about, then just let me know. It makes me so happy to hear from you guys, like whether it's messages on Instagram from people that watch the podcast, or like comments, or I mean anything really. Like yeah, I think those are the two ways that people have contacted me. Sometimes they go through Ravelry and add me as a friend. That's always really nice. I like friends. But yeah, it makes my day. It just makes me really happy to know, because it feels like I'm just talking to a camera, right? But it feels nice to know that people are like interacting with it, and people are enjoying it, and like I'm keeping someone company as they knit, because that's what other podcasters do for me, and so that's really cool. So I'm always really excited to hear from you. And it makes me feel so happy to know that you guys are watching. And as always, if you want to come over and say hello, I'm over on Instagram and Ravelry and TikTok a little bit, not so much anymore, but we'll see if I get back in there too as the Strikkechick. And you can find me on my own website, thestrikkechick.com. And if you like this video, please go ahead and like and subscribe and leave me a comment and just tell me what you enjoyed and what you want to hear more of, and we'll talk. So yeah, until next time, you guys, happy knitting and have a great day. Bye-bye.